Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us Mosso at the1916company.com for your purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Today we're discussing something extraordinary, a 10-piece limited edition in steel from 2023 from Laurent Ferrier. This is the classic Micro-Rotor with Lapis Lazuli dial, a 10-piece edition as you see it here, an extraordinary evolution of the watch, originally named the Galet Micro-Rotor. Here we find all of Laurent Ferrier's graces at apex. So, taking a quick look, easy to wear, stainless steel, very durable for everyday use, 40 millimeters in diameter, it's 11.8 millimeters thick, from lug tip to lug tip, 47.4 millimeters with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and it wears beautifully. In fact, I could recommend it for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. Here's your down the barrel shot, over the top, which I warn you always exaggerates the width of the watch, and then the cuff shot, which reveals the watch to be fairly thin and quite well sloped, so it'll slide underneath a dress shirt. The strap is medium rectangular scale alligator leather in a gloss finish. There is some bolstering or stuffing. We have a monotone stitch. We have a broad folded edge and then Alcantara on the bottom. Note a brand new Laurent Ferrier strap. The Alcantara, a material often found in the touch points of race cars and high-performance road vehicles, often a option for headliners on super luxury cars. It's a synthetic suede that's super durable and much more expensive than actual animal suede. So this is a reminder that Laurent Ferrier, the man, was once an accomplished race car driver and still a great car enthusiast. Taking a look, we have a buckle that is steel like the watch and has this wonderful fluid form to remind us that it is attached to a very shapely case. Originally called the galet, or a pebble, the idea is that we have a smooth shape that's been softened over eons in a flowing stream. So we have some soft character lines, including a soft crease that runs over the midpoint of the case and across the shoulder of the lugs, but there are no hard lines here really. The only hard lines are the inner faces of the lugs on each end. Everything else is fluid and compound curvature. We have a crown which is large, partially countersunk for aesthetics, and then unsigned. And the idea here is it's a tribute to the kind of pocket watches that Laurent Ferrier would have known and even restored in his youth, where it was customary to have a large onion-shaped crown without branding or signature. You'll appreciate that the domed profile of the bezel continues almost unbroken into the angular curve of the cambered sapphire, and then it sits on top of a tri-Arabic numeral sector-style dial made of lapis lazuli. Now, lapis is a natural material, so you can see it comes with a natural and irregular texture. It isn't slick like lacquer or enamel. We also have elements mixed in that made each one of these 10 pieces unique, because no two pieces of lapis will be the same. We also have a very desirable serial number. I like the first or the last. That's a good one if you're a collector. The dial also includes these sectors, evocative of mid-century dress watches from the 20th century. And then we have these assegai, or spear-inspired white gold hands. All numerals and hands here are white gold and polished for luminescence, but also so they will not oxidize, tarnish, or discolor over time. And we have a lovely Breguet-style font used for the 9, the 12, and the 3 with that wonderful open 9. So a Breguet font used and a Lancet-style counterweighted running seconds hand. Really, the only refinement this watch does not have is hacking seconds. 30 meters water resistant with a snapback case, which is very traditional. And then we've got the movement developed by Ferrier, Barbicini, and Navas. And so this was created in conjunction with Louis Vuitton, La Fabrique du Temps, which is one of the premier horlogerie manufacturers in the business. So I spoke to Christian Ferrier, Laurent's son, once about this, and he said that there were prior business relationships and friendships with Barbicini and Navas of Fabrique du Temps, and their proficiency with computer-assisted design was specifically what Laurent Ferrier was looking for in partnering with them. And so this movement is a lot more advanced than what you would conventionally get from a startup brand with less than 2 decades of history behind it. So we have one barrel, we have a nearly silent micro-pawl jeweled staff 22-karat lathe cut winding rotor, 72 hours of power reserve, a 3 Hz beat rate, 35 pivot jewels, and then 6 position adjustment, or 1 more than a standard chronometer. Chronometer is 5, 6 is uncompromising and a cut above. You can also see here we have a double direct impulse escapement. 2 nickel phosphorus escape wheels directly impulse the balance, each in its direction of travel, and only in its direction of travel. There is no Swiss lever here. This is inspired by Breguet's 1802 natural escapement, which was a good idea at the time, but not possible, at least not practical, given the technologies of Breguet's day. But given that this is nickel phosphorus escape wheels, we can fabricate these using galvanic lithography, a process called LIGA, which allows us to create these micrometrically precise components out of metal. There's also, if you look, a little purple thing in there. That is a silicon blocker that blocks the wheel that is not currently impulsing the balance. By allowing each wheel to impulse the roller jewel of the balance only in its direction of travel, you decrease the need for lubrication and thus service, you improve timing efficiency and accuracy, and you extend the power reserve. Now, the 6-position adjustment is by a free-sprung balance. You can see a fixed stud holder there, so it's both very precise to adjust and then very shock-resistant after. If you look carefully, you can also see we have an overcoil curve to the hairspring so that its mass is more centered and it breathes concentrically for better timing in all of those orientations of the test. Now, the finish, it's world-class. Among maybe the 5 or 6 best in series production watchmaking, so I'm not counting, say, Aaron Beche or Philippe Dufour, but if we want to talk about the likes of Grubel Forsey and Romain Gauthier, Laurent Ferrier needs to be in the discussion, at least with movements like this one. Look at this steel bridge for the winding system. It's mirror finished across its top. It's also mirror beveled on its side. And then take a look at this bridge or half bridge, the balance cock. You could see it's been mirror finished on its top. It's made of steel. It's then been skeletonized, and the exterior bevels are accomplished and impressive. But a lot of these tight interior structures, a lot of brands will just have rounded off junctions of bevels, whereas here we have sharp creases. And while Laurent Ferrier does not create these pieces in-house, it does finish them. So this finishing, as well as the assembly and adjustment, is all of their doing. Having 4 sharp interior angles on such a confined and tiny structure, deeply impressive. We have more interior angles, 1 over the center wheel. We also have 1, 2, 3 more, so 4, 8 total. The bevels, take a look at the bevels on the edge of this bridge. A mile wide, rounded and hand-finished. That is not what you get from a milling wheel. You can see the same treatment lavished on all of the jewel sinks. Screw heads, while they're black polished, were mirror finished on their tops, but then when you get really close, you can see that they're also chamfered around their circumference and in their slots. Taking a look at the base plate, we have a nice even pegwood perlage and then satination on the wheels, which feature a little bit of interior beveling. And on the base of the winding system, it is deeply impressive. You can see more mirror finish on the decoupler that separates the winding system from the automatic mechanism when you are not manually winding the watch. This watch overwhelms in terms of technology and finish. And with a 3-day power reserve, really, it's quite impressive what it can achieve with one relatively small barrel. And technology you will not naturally find in the space where brands make only a few hundred watches a year. This type of technology you expect from some sort of company with a limitless engineering budget. And then this dial, even by Laurent Ferrier's standard, extraordinary. Take one last look at the stripes on this case back. You can see how they have a shading gradient, dark on one side, light on the other. That's emblematic of a stripe that's laid down by an abrasive wheel process rather than stamped. So this watch, in terms of engineering, scarcity, and finish, really is the best of all possible worlds. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.